Om Namah Pranavartaye, Shuddha Jnanaika Nirmalaya Prasantaye, Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Arunagiri Mupetam, Sachidananda Murtim, Ramana Iti Prithivyam, Vishrutam Jnana Suryam, Gahana Hridaya Vidyam, Leelaya Bodhayantam, Satatam Ahamameyam, Sadgurum Samsmarami. My pranams. My Navaratri greetings to you all. In fact, there is a Navaratri Shlokam that Kavyakanta composed on Bhagavan. Maybe we'll begin with that. This is a well-known Shlokam. My name is Navaratri Shlokam. It is part of the Chatvarimshat. He composed it in an extempore manner on the Jayanti day in 1923. Because Navaratri is worship of Shakti, the divine Shakti. And the divine Shakti we conceive as having three aspects. We call it as the Kriya Shakti, Ichha Shakti, and Jnana Shakti. When Kavyakanta looked at Bhagavan when he entered the ashram, just at that time the ashram was coming up. So the grace flowing out of Bhagavan's face was so much that he was struck by that, and extemporaneous manner he composed this slokam. Devi Shaktiriyam Drishoho Shritajana Dhvantakshaya Dhayini Devi Shriyam Ambujaksha Mahishi Vaktre Sahasrachade Devi Brahmavadhuriyam Vijayate Vyahara Godhapara Vishwacharya Mahanubhava Ramanatvam Stautukkaha Prakritaha. He says, in your look, my Lord, in your looks, Drishoho Shaktihiyam Bhantakshayadayini, the Kriya Shakti, Durga, she resides in your looks, and then she completely removes the ignorance from the onlookers. Bhantakshayadayini. Devi Sririyam Ambujaksha Mahishi. Ambujaksha is Narayana, Vishnu. Ambujaksha Mahishi is Vishnu's Patni, Mahalakshmi. Devi Sririyam Ambujaksha Mahishi Vaktre Sahasrachade. Your face is glowing. Sahasrachade, the 1,000-petaled lotus. Mahalakshmi is supposed to be seated on a 1,000-petal lotus. So your face is so glorious to look at. Mahalakshmi is residing there, he says. Devi Brahmavadhuriyam. Brahmavadhu is Saraswati. Vijayate Vyahara Godhapara. In your walk, there is Saraswati residing. And he says, she is in her elemental manner. That is para walk. Actually, the speech is divided into 4 portions. They say, para is the highest, Pashyanti next, Madhyama, and Vaikari. Vaikari is the speech, the spoken words. That is the physical aspect of speech. The gross aspect we say, that is Vaikari, spoken word. It is already uttered. And then behind this is the thought, the articulation behind that, and that is the subtle one. That is at the mental level, the mind's level, thoughts behind the words that you speak. So that is called as Madhyama, that is the intermediate stage, they say. And there is a stage called Pashyanti. Pashyanti literally means seeing. And this is the method, it is the unmanifest, which is about to become manifest. The words are about to become manifest. And that is known as Pashyanti. And the Rishis, Maharishis, are supposed to be seeing all the mantras in that stage. That's why they are called as seers. They see. Mantra Drashta, they are called as Maharishis. Shonadrisa Stuti Drashtre Namaha, says Vishwanatha Swami. He saw the Arunachala Stuti Panchakam. It was not composed in any mental activity. He just came to him. He just saw those things, Bhagavan. So, Drashta, that is a Pashyanti. And beyond that Pashyanti is the transcendental communication, Para. That is the silent communication. Gudha Para. It is a mystical, secretive, transcendental state of the speech that resides in you as Saraswati. Vishvacharya. Kavyakanta says, you are Vishvacharya. You are not just Acharya for just one religion or one sect or one cult or one dogma. You are for everybody, the universal Acharya. Vishvacharya, Mahanubhava, Ramanatvam Stautum Kaha, Prakritaha. He refers to himself as a Prakrita, a primitive person, an illiterate person. Kavyakanta. Then we can imagine the status of Bhagavan. So I call this as the Navaratri Slokam. So with this Slokam, because all the three, the Icha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Icha Shakti, and Jnana Shakti, all the three are covered in this. We'll go to Devi Kalottaram. We stopped at a place where (44th verse) we stopped. Jivan Mukstas Tada Yogi Dehatyaga Vimuchyate. He says, it talks about the Jivan Mukti and the Videha Mukti. And the 45th Slokam is talk about Vairagyena Vapustyago Naivakaryo Manishina Arambhataha Kriyanashe Swayameva Vipatsyate. Udalai Virahattu Udittiduhai Buddhi Udevaral Seyya Onade, not to be done. Udalidanai Arambittu Ulla Vinai Atravudan I Udal Bharam Tane Ahalumpar. Says. He says here that there are moments in a yogi's journey where he is disgusted with this bodily existence. He wants to give up the body. Great disillusionment and great vairagyam. I do not want to carry this body along with me. I want to just leave it behind. Don't do that, he says. This is not to be done. Giving up the body, abandoning the body by your will is not to be done. It seems a great rishi like Vasishta, he had once this particular feeling of giving up the body. That happened when his son, Shakti, was killed by a demon. So he was totally devastated by that, and Vasishta wanted to give up his body. It seems he entered into the flames in the Yoga Kundam. The moment he entered, I believe the fire subsided. It became extinct. The fire became extinct. The fire could not take his body. He jumped into a river, the river became dry. He tried so many methods, but he could not abandon his body. So it seems Brahma appeared, his father, Brahma appeared before him and told Vasishta, why are you doing all these things? When the prarabdha karma goes, the body will go, because this body is nothing but karma. Your old karma has taken the shape of this body. Till the last bit of karma is enjoyed or experienced by you, the body cannot go. However much you try, it cannot go. So that's why it is said that don't give up the body in this manner. A wise man will not do that. It seems once Major Chadwick, he asked Bhagavan, you are saying that if you keep a good thought in your mind, last moment of your life, if you are keeping a good thought, then that itself will fructify. If supposing I hold on to myself with my mind, and while cycling, I dash against a truck that is coming in the opposite direction, will I get mukti? Since Bhagavan said, don't do that. Because you are thinking that you will be able to hold on to the thought of the self. But the shock of your impact may really explode within you. The mind will explode and bring out so many thoughts. It's just not possible to manage that. And you do not know what is going to become of you. Why do you want to do all this? What sin did the body commit? The body is insentient. It is jadam. You have to kill the mind and not the body. Because who kills the mind? Or who kills the body? Only the mind will kill the body, is not by an action. It will think of an action and then it will want a death through that action. The mind only is going to kill the body, and the mind will be the survivor. The killer will be the survivor. So the mind will survive, and what is the use? You should attempt to kill the mind, and that's what the yogis do. They kill the mind. The jiva bodha nasham, mano nasham or jiva bodha nasham is what is to be attempted. This is innocent. In fact, we are all suicides, says Bhagavan, because all the time we are doing Brahmahati. We do not even think about the self. All the time we are living in the mind and not in the self, in the Atman. So we are continuing to commit Brahmahati. So why do you want to add some more sin to that, which is already available with you? So he says, Vapustyagam, giving up the body is not to be done. What has to be done is killing the mind. That's what say. And there is a beautiful slokam that Muruganar has composed. It's an interesting slokam. Way in which the idea that is conveyed here. He says, Ahandai enum pei. Pei means a ghost. Ahandai is ahankaram. The ghost called as ahankaram. Andai enum pei. Arung kavala veitu. This ego has been appointed as a watchman. By whom? Uyirukku udayon, the Lord of all the souls, Uyirukku udayon, the Lord of the souls, and he has played this mischief of keeping the ego as a watchman for your body. And what does it do? Till the last moment your karmas are enjoyed, this ego will see to it that the body survives. So he says, Uhandan, Uyirukku udayon, Uhanda vinai ஊட்டும் பயன் எஞ்சாது, without any bit of it remaining. Till that time, the ego will watch over you, keep the body alive. And then when everything for this life has been totally experienced, then only the body will go. So wait for that moment. Wait for it with pleasure, without any kind of a, hatred towards the body. Do that. Don't indulge the body, but don't hate the body also. There must be a neutral stand that you have to take towards the body. It is not committing any mistake. You are committing all the sins. That's what we have to remember. Neetum padikki ninaindu. That's how this occurs in Guru Vachaka Kovai, this particular verse. I will go to the next verse. Actually, the very heart of this Grantham is in this verse. It is the heart. It is about the heart. It is very similar to the extempore composition that Bhagavan made. We all know that when he was in Virupaksha cave, Jagadishwara Sastri was sitting in front of Bhagavan. And he is a Sanskrit scholar. And in his mind, these words were going. Hridaya Kuhara Madhye, he started. He thought that a good sloka can be formed with this Hridaya Kuhara Madhye. But afterwards, he became blank. Nothing could come out of him. So he just wrote that Hridaya Kuhara Madhye in a piece of paper, left it in front of Bhagavan and went out. When he came back, Bhagavan had completed the slokam, which is the famous slokam. Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram Hyaham Ahamiti Sakshat Atma Rupena Bhati Hridi Visha Manasa Swam Chinvata Majjatava Pavana Chalana Rodhat Atmanishto Bhavatvam. Only Bhagavan in the recent times has talked so much about heart. It has been there as one of the Vidyas. It is called as the Hridaya Vidya. But it was not very much taken up by any of the subsequent Vedantins, Advaitins, till Bhagavan came and kind of gave a fresh life to this Hridaya Vidya. That's why in Ashtotram, Vishwanatha Swami says, Hardha Vidya Prakashakaha. He brought back to illumination, brought back to light. Hardha Vidya Prakashakaha. So the Hridayam is what Bhagavan all the time talks about. Arunachala Pancharatnam, he talks about that killer Ulappu. Everywhere, you can, so many places. Hritstale Manaha Swastata, he says in Upadeshasaram. Any number of places, keeps on referring to heart. So heart, what is heart? This shloka says, Hrit Saroje, hi aham rupa, yachitir nirmala achala, ahankara parityagat, sachitihi mokshadayinaha, it says. Idaya kamalatte, ahavuruvam, yachittu, adu nimala nichalameahum, udikum, ahankara nikudalal, achitte, mukti sukam alippadu, kodupadu, என்று துணி. Actually, this same shloka in a slightly different format is present in the Ulladhanarpada Anubandham, the 9th and the 10th shloka. This is such an important shloka in Devi Kalottaram that Bhagavan adopted it in one more of his texts. This is Anubandham also. That is the importance of this particular verse. Girish is very blessed today. The most important shloka is being taken up here. Hrit Sarojam. Sarojam is lotus flower. Neeraja, Saroja, Toyaja, all these things are lotus. Lotus comes out of water. That which is born out of water. Here says this heart lotus. In this heart lotus, Aham Rupa, in the shape of Aham, I, in the shape of I, Yachitihi Nirmala Achala, that consciousness, which in its purest form and in the form of I, the pure form of I, is residing in the heart of everybody. Achala, it is unmoving. Why it is unmoving? Because the other aham that we refer to is always moving. In order to differentiate between the normal aham that we are used to, this pure aham, which does not move, solid background, unmoving background, that is there all the time. In this, there are movements, and these movements make up our life. So if really you want to get out of samsaram, go back to that stage of unmoving aham, unmoving I. It is in the heart in that manner. Ahankara parityagat. So he says, aham is the pure form of I, your I amness. The sense of your own existence in its purest form, that is Atma. Ahankaram is something that we fabricate. That's why it is known as Ahankaram. We manufacture this I. We don't realize that. We are manufacturing this I, and then we are living with it all the time. It is a spurious I. Why is it spurious? Because it is not the direct light of the Atman. It is a reflected light of the Atman. Atman actually is reflecting on our mind or our buddhi. And the reflected light, we are looking at the reflection and thinking that we are that reflection. We have identified ourselves so solidly with that reflection. We are not able to see the background, Satchidanandam. We have been practicing this identification for several crores of janmas. So that practice is so solid, we are not able to leave that. Ahankaram is that which is fabricated, that which is a construct, that is a manufactured one. It is not natural. This ego is not natural. So we are living in an unnatural state all the time. The background of this unnatural aham is that pure aham. So in order to distinguish between that, he says aham and ahankaram. Ahankara parityagat sachitihi mokshadayanaha. If you hold on to that consciousness that is there in the heart, constantly aham, 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 constantly it radiates. Its presence is unmistakable, even though it is a reflection. We are with this reflection even then. All the time it is there. It never leaves you. And even at that time when it appears to disappear, we do not have any mistake or do not have any wrong notion that we are not existing during the deep sleep. Nobody will say that I was not there in sleep. Because the same person woke up and then says, I had a good sleep. So it never leaves. It was in a very muted manner for some reason that we will go into later. But it is there. It has never left you. It has never left you from the time that you are born as a baby. And it is going to continue in the other lives also. This constant thing. Aham, 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 aham. This is not got told of by us mainly because of the fact that the ahankaram is completely hiding it and projecting an unreal image around us. So the best thing to do will be to look behind, look at yourself rather than look at the world that is being projected. That's why Bhagavan says that the first step in Atma Vicharam is ahamukam, turn towards the self and constantly do it. Never come out of it, stay there. That is all that has to be done. He says ahankara parityagat. In Bhagavan's shlokam, this ahankara parityagam, he has given 3 methods. Kriti Visha, enter into the heart. Entering into the heart means abide in the heart as consciousness. Be the awareness. You are the awareness, be that. Don't be the spurious consciousness, but be that pure awareness. That is Kriti Visha. You cannot enter into the heart with all our baggage. This baggage, which is called as the upadhi, this personality, all these mental activities, you cannot enter into that because the hole is very small and we are carrying a big baggage. We cannot get into that. Hridi Visha Manasa Swam Chinvata. Chinvata is Anveshanam or the inquiry, getting into the source of the aham, ego. That is Anveshanam. That is what is meant by this Chinvata, Majjata, or get immersed in this. It can be a method by which, you are going to think that I am the Brahman or some such thing. The next slokam, it is going to cover that. So, he says, immersed in that Majjata, Pavana Chalana Rodhat, or you can control your breath, and then it is possible for you to go there. Some scholars say that Bhagavan has suggested only 2 paths, and the third path, Pavana Chalana Rodhat, is common to the other 2. That is some scholars' opinion. Now, there are a lot of articles and other things. It doesn't matter to us. They say that Pavana Chalana Rodhat Chinvata, Pavana Chalana Rodhat Majjata. There are 2 paths. But controlling the breath will be helpful in both the paths. That is their interpretation. But anyway, ahankara parityagam, the word used by Ishvara, for us there is an expansion given by Bhagavan in the Hridaya Kuhara Madhye shloka also. Ahankara parityaga sachitihi mokshadayinaha. The one that is there in Ulladin Arpada Anubandham, Ahakkamalate, instead of Vidaya Kamalate, there he says Ahakkamalate, Amala, Achala, Ahamuruvahum, Arive, Chittu, he says Arivu, Ahatte, Ahattiduvadal. This consciousness, constantly hanging on to this consciousness, will completely eradicate your ahankaram. The one that is rising every time from this aham, that you go, it will forget to rise at some point in time. Hopefully for us, at some point in time, it will forget to rise and then form a personality. Ahankara Nikudalal Achitte Mukti, Ahatruda Ahamam Arive, Ahavidu Alipadu Ari, he says in Ulladin Arpadu Anubandham. Bhagavan has added 2 words that is not there in the original shloka. One of the words is Udikam. Bhagavan always points to the fact that Udikam, Udayasthanam, Udikam, because this ego rises and it rests also. It goes back and rests. It is not there in the raised condition all the time. It goes back and takes a rest also during the deep sleep or in samadhi or in other times. The I takes a rest. And this I rises and falls and rises and falls. And this movement is what is causing this samsara. What we see as the world is the movement of the ego going up and down. That's why he says Udikam. Nan udiyadu ulla nilai, nam aduvai ulla nilai, he says. A very simple manner of giving that mukti, about that statement about that mukti. Simply it is this, Nan udiyadu ulla nilai. Don't rise up from this. Why do we rise up? Why do we come out of our sukham? And why do we rise up? Because of the latent desires. Why are the latent desires? Because the egoic attachments, desires in the mind, attachments to everything that we see, and this we keep on adding it. We do not really eliminate them. So because of this reason, the ego will keep on rising because it has a feeling that there is a happiness in the outside world, and it forgets its own sukham, comes out and looks for happiness here and there, does not find it, gets into more problems in the process. Not finding it, it tries so many other tricks and never gets it. So going back and then residing as that happiness is the one thing to be known. That's why Bhagavan constantly mentions about Udikam. The fact that we are able to see the movement also tells us there is an unmoving background. You will notice a movement only when there is a background which is unmoving. The background is also moving, you cannot notice the movement, isn't it? It's a relative thing. Background should be constant. Against that background, something is rising and something is falling. So the very fact that you are able to notice this rising and falling shows there is something behind it which is unmoving, constant. So many different simple logics that Bhagavan gives. Udikkum ahankara nikudalal. The ahankara alone will rise up and then fall down, rise up and fall down. So this whole thing is about the heart. And what is heart? Bhagavan says Hridayam is actually Hrit Ayam. Ayam means this and Hrit is center. This is the center, is the actual meaning of Hridayam. What we call as heart is the center. What is it center of? Center of our existence. Not only that, the center of cosmic existence. It is the same center. There is only one center. In that center, all from that center, everything comes out, everything goes back, everything comes out, everything goes back. He calls it as Hridayam. And how is it important for our sadhana? We have to understand that. Hridayam, what is it in sadhana? Is it a place that we concentrate on? It is a location. Is it a location? Is it one of those yogic centers or chakras that people talk about? The closest to that is known as Anahata chakra, is the third chakra. Anahata chakra is a chakra which is of the psychological existence of a person. Is it that? Bhagavan says it is none of these things. Hridayam is the seat of consciousness. Where consciousness is, you are able to discover consciousness, that is heart. Just concentrate on your consciousness. Don't give it a location. It is not Anahata Chakram. It is not a location in the body. Why I am saying this is many of the sadhakas, they somehow take it to mean when Bhagavan says it is in the right side of the chest and other things, they say there is a center here. Let us concentrate on that. Bhagavan has not said that. He has talked about the right side of the body and all the thing as an experience of a jnani. What it means is, at the time of self-realization, that would include, that will contain an awareness of this center. A realized soul, in his awareness, there is this center which is contained. But by concentrating on the center, you are not going to self-realization. Other way, it does not work. It is a one-way thing. Other way, it does not work. He has mentioned about his experience as available, but he has not asked you to concentrate on that, because moment you give a location in your dhyanam, you are bringing space. And space is a mental construct. We want to be rid of the mind. So don't give a location. So Bhagavan says, instead of locating the experience, have the experience. Having the experience is more important than locating the experience. What do you want to locate the experience? It has to be carefully understood. And there is a chapter in Ramana Gita, an exquisite chapter, beautifully captured by Kavyakanta in Sanskrit verses. Very nice. The 5th chapter of Ramana Gita is Hridaya Vidya. So in that, in Skandashramam, Kavyakanta asked this question in Skandashramam one day. Bhagavan, in the 2nd chapter of Ramana Gita, we have included your Hridaya Kuhara Madhye, but I would like to know what is this heart. So Bhagavan gives a detailed exposition captured so well by Kavyakanta in. I will not go through all the verses because time is not there, but there are some verses which are worth looking at. He first gives a definition of what heart is. Nirgachanti yatas sarva vrittayoho dehadharinam hridayam tat samakyatam bhavana akriti varnanam. Nirgachanti yataha, from where? Yataha means from where? Whence? Nirgachanti yataha sarva vrittayoho, all the thoughts, where they arise from, that location is Hridayam. So, where they go and subside, all the thoughts, that is Hridayam. That is the way he defines it. From where do they come out? They emerge out of heart, they go back into the heart. Nirgachanti is emerging out. Hridayam tat, that is known as Hridayam. And then he says, Bhavana Kriti Varnanam, all descriptions of it can only be mental concepts. Don't have a mental, hold any mental concept of Bhavana Kriti Varnanam, he says. And then he goes on to say, after having said all the thoughts are emerging, in all these thoughts, there is one thought that is really the most important thought. Aham vritti, the I thought. In fact, this is my opinion. This is an incredible leap in the spiritual sadhana. Bhagavan reducing the complexity of this mind into one thing, which is Aham vritti. Nobody else has said this. They all said that we have to control the mind. Consciousness is there. Consciousness is the place where from mind is coming. But Bhagavan gives the clue. Catch hold of this I thought. This is an unmistakable thought. All the thoughts are based upon this I thought. This is a root thought. This is a stem from which all branches are coming out. This stem or the root thought is the most important thing for you in your sadhana. Catch hold of that. And this aham vritti also emerges from the heart. So that is the importance of the aham vritti. Bhavana akriti varnanam. So don't have any conceptual thinking of that. The aham vritti is also coming out of this particular heart only. And then he says, this is for the yogis, people who want to, go through the yoga margam for their benefit. You have to remember that Kavyakanta is very much interested in yoga. He was not, in the beginning, he was not interested in Jnana Margam. He was a yogi. So for his sake, Bhagavan is saying all this thing. The light of awareness flows from the heart through the Sushumna up to the Sahasraram, which is the brain. Sushumna is what yogis concentrate upon. Rising the Sushumna, the flow of consciousness through all the chakras up to the Sahasraram. And then, so he says, the light of awareness comes out of the heart because all the light of the awareness is there in the heart only. It comes out, and maybe we can say that there is an nadi which takes this. It goes to the brain, Sahasraram, and from there it flows to the entire body. And then all the experiences of the world are arising because of this movement of this consciousness in the brain. So when as long as it's there in the brain or Sahasraram or in the mind is the seat of, brain is the seat of mind. So when the mental activities are there, the world appearances are there. And for the world appearances to stop, the consciousness has to go back to the heart. That is the point that is being made here. From there it flows to the entire body, and then all experiences of the world, they arise. And then he says, what is there in the macrocosm is there in the microcosm. What you think of as the cosmic appearance around you is there in your microcosm. Andam and Pindam. He talks about Andam. Andam is the great globe, great universe that is there in the Pindam. All the elements of the cosmic world outside, the same elements form your body, form the individual also. They are there in the Pindam. So he says that, and hence the universe is contained in the heart, he says, because the Pindam is the heart. The entire universe is there in the heart. And he goes on to say, not only this, Andam vapushi nishesham hridaye vapuhu tasmat andasya sarvasya hridayam rupa sangraha. Hridayam is the collection of the entire cosmos in that center. Everything is collected, gathered in that center. Bhuvanam manaso nanyat. This world is not different from mind. Because with the mind, you are able to see the entire thing. Everything is contained in the mind. Though we may talk about the macrocosm, who is the one that is seeing the macrocosm? There is an individual. There is an individual consciousness which is seeing the entire thing. And in order to concentrate on the outside thing, but not concentrating on the cause of this macrocosm, that is very mysterious. Why do we do this mistake? Bhagavan says, your individual consciousness, unless that is there, unless the person's consciousness is there, is it possible to perceive the universe outside you? No. A dead body cannot see anything at all. Consciousness should be there in order to see the whole thing. There is a seer, and we are forgetting the seer, but we are fascinated by the seen. That is the problem. He says, Bhuvanam anaso nanyat. Whatever you say is not different from the mind. Anyanna hridayan manaha. And mind is not different from the heart. So he says, Asesha hridaye tasmat. Everything. So tasmat. Asesha. Everything without leaving anything out. Asesha hridaye tasmat. And he says this humorously. Katha parisamapyate. The story ends here. The entire universe story, all those fascinating things that we are talking about day in and day out, Katha parisamapyate, it ends here. Ultimately, everything has to go back to the heart. So why don't you begin with the heart? Why do you have to go all around and then come back here? Begin with the heart. Begin within yourself. That's what he says. Tasmat katha parisamapyate. The story of the universe culminates in the heart, he says. And then he says, he gives an example to understand the function of the mind and function of the heart. Because we confuse. We take the mind to be the conscious thing, but consciousness is borrowed by the mind from the heart. That we forget. For that reason, he gives this particular example. He says, Kirtyate hridayam pinde yatande bhanumandalam. Just as Surya Mandalam, just as sun shines, the earth with respect to the sun is the same as your body with respect to the heart. Heart is the sun from where the life comes to you, and the body is getting animated. Just as the earth is able to survive only because of the sun. When the sun goes out, where is the earth? There cannot be any life on earth. Nothing at all. So he says, just as there is sun, the sun to the earth is the same as the heart to the body. And then he goes on to say, what about the mind? He says, moon is the mind, because moon reflects the sunlight, and the light is seen only in the night time. That is, whenever we are outside of the sunshine, then we can spot the moon. When the sun is shining, we cannot spot the moon. Even though it may be there in the sky, we cannot spot the moon at that time. And for that, he gives this particular beautiful upama. Hridi asannihito matyo manaha kevalam ikshate. Hridi asannihito. He who is absent in the heart is present in the mind and sees all these activities. He is absent in the heart means he is not considering the heart, the basis of everything at all. And then he is concentrating on the mind. We all live in the mind. We all live in our minds. So we are all asannihitaha. We are all not there in the heart. We are all absent from there. When we are absent from the heart, then only the mind is seen and all the drama of the mind alone is seen. The person absent from the heart perceives only the mind, just as moon is perceived in the night time. And then finally he says, the jnani who is present in the heart sees the light of the mind merged in the light of the heart. He sees the world, but it is merged in the heart. He sees the world. Bhagavan saw the world. He interacted with everybody. He knew who you are, when you are coming, when did you come. All those things he knew. But they were all submerged in the light of the heart. Just as when the moon comes out during the daytime, it is not seen at all. Hridi sannihito jnani leenam hridaya tejasi. He is always in the tejas of the heart. Hridaya tejasi. Ikshate manasam tejo diva bhana viva aindavam. Aindavam, Indu. Indu is moon. Bhanu is sun. When the mind, when the moon comes out during the daytime, it is not seen at all. In the nighttime, it is so bright. In the daytime, it is not seen at all. Similarly, for the jnani, the world is not seen. It is there. Whenever he can concentrate on that, he will be able to spot. So he comes out to interact with us, but his actual location is all the time in the heart. Hridi sannihito jnani leenam hridaya tejasi. Beautiful verses. In fact, all these things are summarized beautifully in an article which appeared in Mountain Path, and the title of the article is Hridaya Vidya. So Mountain Path is now available as an application. We can download, and then whichever Mountain Path issue you want to see that. So a beautiful summary has been given by Kapali Shastri's disciple, one Shankaranarayanan. He has written many books, and he has given an excellent article, which will be very useful for people who are doing sadhana, Atma Vicharam and other things. I think it is 2003, Mountain Path 2003. One can go and then see this particular thing. So, Hridaya Vidya is the title of the article. It summarizes everything. The next verse, 47th verse. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam chidrupam yan nirantaram tat chivohamiti dhyatva sarvasaktim vivarjayet. Asakti is desire. Sarvasakti, all the desires can be completely eliminated by doing this dhyanam. And this is a different way of doing the same thing. This is Upasana Margam. Upasana is, heart is conceived as a temple. And the temple, there is an Atma Deva. Aham odir Atmadevan padattinil aham ahilvaha anisham ramikave. This is a Mangala Shlokam in Viveka Chudamani. When Bhagavan wrote Viveka Chudamani, he gives this as the Mangala Shlokam. There he says Atmadeva. These are all conceptions, but they'll be very helpful. This is a Upasana Margam. Sohamityasau. Bheda Bhavanat. Better than having a Bheda Bhavanam, that he is different, I am different. God is different, I am different. Instead of that, better than that, Bheda Bhavanat, Soham, he is me. It does not say I am he. We have to be very careful. He is I. The substance that he is, he has made me also from the same substance. I am an Alpa. I have absolutely no significant role to play. It's as good as better for me to absent myself from the whole thing, give the entire territory to God alone. That is the real Advaita Bhavana. There the Jiva does not become God. Jiva eliminates himself. Completely drops off, goes away from that. So this particular Upasana is mentioned by Ishvara to Parvati. He says here, Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam Chidrupam yan nirantaram tat shivoham iti dhyatva sarva saktim vivarjayet. He says, sarva upadiyum saradu உள சித்து உருவம் எது ஒன்று உளது நிரந்தரம் அந்த சிவம் அகம் என்று அன்பால் தியானித்தே. This anbal is a word that is added by Bhagavan from the original. These are the small magic he performs. Accurate translation, but here and there, the master chef that he is, he throws a fragrance. Anbal, prema bhavana. That's what he says in Pancharatnam. That prema bhavam, with that prema bhavam, constantly think of him. He alone is, and he has made me. This is his temple. My heart is his temple. There is what are known as Shivopasana mantras. When you do the nyasam, this is known as nyasam, the way in which you perform. There are two types of nyasa. One are known as Laghun-nyasam, Mahan-nyasam, for the Rudra, Shiva. These words remind me of those things, actually. Agnirmehe vachishritah vak hridaye hridayam mayi aham amritehe amritam brahmani. Agnirmehe vachishritah. All the elements of this cosmos, the Upasaka is conceiving all that as within himself. In my walk, let there be Agni. Agnirmehe vachishritah. Ayurmehe prane shritah. Next one. Vayu, let it be in my prana. Prano hridaye hridayam mayi aham amritehe amritam brahmani. Like that it goes. All these things. One by one, one by one. Disho me shrotrehe shrita. All that. The space is in my ears, he says. Today we know that for navigation require the ears. Ears are required for navigation. So disho me shrotrehe shrita. Shrotragam hridaye hridayam mayi aham amritehe amritam brahmani. Finally, all the elements are included. Oshadhi vanaspatayo me lomasu shrita. One by one. Everything is covered. Finally, he says, Ishano me manyau shrita. Ishana is a Vedic name for Lord Shiva. Ishano me manyau shrita. In my spirit, Manyu is the spirit, the essence. In my essence, let Shiva stay. That is the meaning of this entire dhyanam. Ishano me manyau shrita. Manyor hridaye hridayam mayi aham amritehe amritam brahmani. Atma ma atmani shritah atma hridaye hridayam mayi aham amritehe amritam brahmani. All these things are a method of upasana. There is a great American by name David Frawley. Most of you might have heard about him. He is a Vedacharya. He does research in Vedas. Most of the times he is in India only. And very much influenced by Bhagavan. He has contributed a number of articles to Mountain Path. In fact, when he went for the first time to Tiruvannamalai, after Bhagavan's Mahanirvana, in the Tiruvannamalai temple precinct, I believe there was a homam, some kind of a yagam going on for Subramanya Swami, just near the Subramanya, this thing. In that Yaga Kundam, he had a vision of Bhagavan. And he has written a lot of articles on Agni. Agni is the most important god in the Vedas. Agni mihi ele prohitam yajnasya devam ritvijam. Like that, the Rig Veda begins with these words, Agni. I believe these are the first words that was recorded actually, because of the significance of this. The Rig Veda, which is about 5,000, 6,000 years, we don't know how many thousand years back. So this Agni, about Agni, he has written. This David Frawley has written an article in Mountain Path, and then he calls it a Vedic consecration of the heart. So this is another homework that I am giving you. You can look up this. It is 2006 mountain path, Vedic consecration of heart, written by David Frawley, a very authentic research scholar. And he has written a number of books. Dasha Mahavidya, the wisdom goddesses, the 10 goddesses. On that he has written a book, Shiva. He's a great soul. Anyway, this particular thing will also be very helpful when you see this thing. This is an Upasana Margam where you conceive of the entire cosmos as being within you. This is a temple that you are creating for Shiva. Tat Shivohamiti Dhyatva. Relentlessly concentrate on this. Remove all your desires in this manner. Because when Shiva occupies, then the Jiva has to vacate the place. The space is so small, it cannot contain two. The Jiva and the Shiva, only one can be there. Shiva is not there, then we, as Jivas, we are dancing in that place. But better let us allow him to dance within our heart. This is what Bhagavan says. Nrityasi bhoste vadanti hridayam nama, he says in Pancharatnam. Let us allow him to dance within our heart. And this is what is the entire Upasana is that thing. Tat chivohamiti dhyatva sarva saktim vivarjayet. I will just quote one more verse and I will end my lecture. This verse is from Atma Sakshatkara Prakaranam. This is the second agama that Bhagavan has translated, just as Jnanachara Vichara Patalam, Atma Sakshatkaram. There it is an Upadesham given by Ishvara, same Ishvara, to Kumara Swami, to Subramanya Swami. So in that, there is a very interesting thing. Shivonyaha tu ahamevanyaha pritag bhavam vivarjayet. Shiva is different, I am different. This difference you give up. Soham iti asau bhavana balat bhakti ruttama. Shivonyaha tu ahamevanyaha pritag bhavam vivarjayet. Yashivaha sohamevetihi advaitam bhavayet sada. It's a beautiful verse. It says the same thing. Have that advaita bhavam, but not through anveshanam, but through this upasana. Just conceive of him as within you. And constantly think about it. It will take you there. Bhavana bala. This bhavana balam, bhakti ruttama. This is bhakti. Swaswarupa anusandhanam bhakti riti abhidiyate. Says Adi Shankarayan Viveka Chudamani. Moksha karana samagryo bhakti reva gariyasi. In all the samagri, instruments that are available for your moksham, moksha karana samagryam, bhakti reva gariyasi. Bhakti alone is great. And then he gives the bhakti in this manner. Swaswarupa anusandhanam. It is not doing dhyanam or upasana to an idol or some such thing. It is swarupa anusandhanam. Constantly keep your mind, keep your attention on the flame that is raging within you all the time. Keep your attention on that. Swaswarupa anusandhanam bhaktiriti abhidiyate, he says in Viveka Chudamani. So that is the method that is taught here. This I will end. Thank you.
கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினமிதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன் என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினமிதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன் என்னை கண்டவர் சொல்ல காட்சி விளங்கும் ககன உலகினிலே வாழ என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினமிதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன். தாகமும் பசியும் தன்னல பகையும் தமசுமில்லா பரவெளியில் ஞான மோகனரமணன் மோன முரளியே முடிவிலதுலவிடுமங்கே என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினமிதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன் நனவுடன் துயிலும் கனவும் இல்லாத ஞான ரவியொளிரும் நாட்டில் அங்கே மனமுடலகன்றே அவருடனேக மங்கள வாழ்வினில் வாழ என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினம் இதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன் குறைப்பினி துயரும் மரணமும் காம குரோத உலோபமும் உணுகாதங்கே அறிவொளி நிலவில் ஆனந்தமாக ஆத்மரமண குருநாதன் என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினம் இதய குகையில் ரமண குருநாதன் போனவர் திரும்ப புது நகரதிலே பொன்மய மாளிகை உள்ளே அங்கே ஞானமை ரமண சபை நடுவதிலே நாதனவருடனே வாழ என்னை கொண்டு செல்வாரே ஒரு தினம் இதய குகையில் ரமண